Hi, this is part 5 of the mini series, and I wanted to do a live demo on how to actually use all these different tools within G Suite and even a little bit of GCP to solve a common use case within the state and local community, which is answering public open record requests. For those of you who may not have context, public open record request is when any constituent would like to reach out to an agency and ask for certain information that is open. That process today is primarily for most organizations is done via email, and it requires a lot of back and forth between the external and the internal folks. So as I've been talking to other state and local folks, we've been trying to map this out over into G Suite, and this is exactly what the solution is. So even if your solution is not, even if you're not specifically looking for this type of solution, you can extrapolate how we solve this problem to many, many hundreds of other types of problems that are similar in nature. So the first step is, since this is a process where today it's only done by email for the most part, some state and local folks have moved over to a form, which is a great first step. The nice thing about having a form and having a Google form is that, one, you constrain the user to exactly give you what you need, because the user doesn't really know too much what you need to kind of reduce that time frame of back and forth. And so you can have open text fields, right? You can make things required. This means that it's required. And what's nice too is that if you have a dropdown, you actually will help really get very specific on what type of record request. So upon me looking at all the different types of record requests that are possible, I made this list dropdown, and then you can just select what type of record that you would like. You can also put your open text here so that the user can explicitly say what it is that they would like. And then you can also, I noticed that in a lot of them, they also have this kind of verification of like, hey, or were you aware that there's a payment constraint, and that, hey, are you for sure saying that this is you and not and no one else? Now, if you do have compliance issues with a formal electronic signature application, there are also providers that integrate with G Suite seamlessly, if that were a formality that you needed to follow. But if not, then this checkbox, I've noticed that in other agencies, it's sufficed. So what's nice about this is that if I go to this editable form, right, this is where I actually create the form or modify the form, and I choose to make it the type of thing that it is, a type of question. And it automatically collects the responses, and if it's open text, it will put it in a table. And you can also use something called a word cloud. Eventually, there are add-ons in Google Forms. This is an add-on here. Those are free scripts that people have made, and that allow you to extend the functionality of either a Google document, a form, a spreadsheet, slides, etc. So in this case, if you wanted to make a word cloud, which has like a summary of all the words in different sizes depending on how frequently it's mentioned, you can also put that in a Google slide presentation if you bring that in as an add-on. And just add-ons, you can add more add-ons here. And what's my favorite part is that if you actually put it all as a drop-down, as we mentioned here, is that it will actually calculate it for you automatically in charts. So that's really, really lovely. And then if you see when I hover over here, you can actually copy this chart and put that into a Google slide or wherever you would like. So you can also enable notifications so that every time a user who is helping with this type of form can get a notification via their emails, so that they know every time a new request comes in. And as you notice here, there's an add-on that I already installed called Form Publisher. It's by a partner with Google, and they did this fantastic add-on where if you wanted to send a formal report, either in PDF or in a Google slide, etc., to specific people, either that entered their email into the form or specific people within your organization, you can really route it in whatever way you like as well. It will publish the data from your form automatically. So that's also a big win. I won't be covering that, but I did want to just mention that is also possible. If I jump back into here, so we said the first step was being able to collect all this information, kind of think through the process of like, okay, how do we make sure that we get the most relevant information from our users quickly? And so you have the form because it auto collects everything. And then because this is a new process, let's get people trained on these processes. And that's where we have AppMaker. AppMaker is that low-code drag and drop UI key solutions. One of them is a training hub. And so I can actually embed this training hub, this turnkey solution from AppMaker anywhere into any website, including this Google site. Very quickly, to see how I even did that is this is a Google site. There's only 3 components to it. You can either pick a theme, right? So it creates that standardization, that the beautiful standardization across all the pages. You pick a color, a font, and a theme. The second is you create pages and the structure that you would like. You can hide some of the pages or duplicate them, or you can have it linked directly to another website as a hyperlink. So when you click here, it has new link or new page. And then you can share it with the right people. So that could be internally or externally. You can decide if you would like this to be navigation mode that's on the top or on the side. And my favorite part is insert. So here you can insert any content. You can insert a text box, images, anything from Drive, and embed. So AppMaker actually pops out like a URL like this. And basically you just plug that in here, you paste that in there and click insert. And that's how you get this lovely interface here. These are nice little templates so that if you click any of them, it'll save you time in creating little boxes, and you just click for image to be inserted. And then you can insert a calendar, a map, YouTube videos, etc. Anything that's from Google, it basically easily integrates in here. And let's just go back to publishing this so that we can see the final view. While that's loading, I just wanted to call out the fact that if you click this little preview button, it will allow you to preview what it looks like on a tablet and a mobile phone and desktop. So it handles all this. This is what machine learning is doing. It's handling all this for us. Okay, so back to the sheet. So we were mentioning that we would like to collect information. We would like to train our people on this new process. So let's call this G Suite training. And you can create all the courses that you like and add all the links, all the assets to things that you have in Drive to lock down. All right, so that would be step 2. Step 3 would be, okay, now that we have people trained on this process, let's get them to actually be able to manage the requests. And so we're going to work off the spreadsheet. So how we got to a spreadsheet is in responses. There's this little icon that says that's the spreadsheet. And as I mentioned, you can get email notifications here. And so as an email notification comes in and I'm in a Google spreadsheet, sometimes this will be green and sometimes it won't be green. If it's not green, you can just select the headers like this until it turns green. And this new panel comes up, and this is where machine learning helps you not have to create functions to find information in your data. I've even seen finance folks use Explore to be able to convert currency amounts in a very automatic way. So it automatically summarizes things for you at the top. You can ask it questions in a very colloquial way, just very naturally. You don't have to think about all these, specific queries. And then you can drag and drop any of these charts inside. So my question here specifically, and I wrote it down just to make this a faster demo, is, how many higher education charitable record requests are there? So if I go in here and I type that in there, and I click enter, let's try this again. It will automatically calculate it and say it's 5, and it'll give you a formula. Same goes for this other question. What are the top type of record requests? top type of record request. And since it also knows that I asked it before, it will give me that prior question. And the last answer here, how many mail merge status mail failed? And I'll explain what that means in a second. So another add-on that I'd like to announce is mail merges. Mail merges help automate mass emailing. So as you have data in a spreadsheet like this, I can actually, with this add-on that I added in here, and it's now called Mail Merge, there are several Mail Merge add-ons. Once I click that button, it will automatically send an email to all these folks with certain values. And I'll show you how I send that. But based on when they send it, it'll give me a status of if it was sent well or if it failed. And so I'm going to go over here, click Explore. And it says that one failed. All right, so that is a quick example of how you can ask for insights. Now, this is what I was mentioning about the mail merge. So in order for you to customize how the message gets sent out once you do click that button in the spreadsheet, is you create a draft email and you just leave it in draft, and you can put all of the columns that you have in here. So first name, last name. So you just put the little squiggly lines in order to plug that information in here every time it sends out an email. If you notice here, unique identifier, all I did is I Googled unique identifier formula, and that's found over here. Let's just delete these so you can see. And so this was the formula that I found. And all you have to do is just kind of drag it in as new inquiries come in. You just drag that in and it will dynamically create a custom number. And that will also be inserted within the draft of the email so that the person asking for a request gets a proper identification number that you can track. The next thing is, as I mentioned, a Google group, which is, in this case, we're calling it records or public open records at yourdomain.com. And this Google group allows for people to be assigned within your organization to answer these requests. And whenever these requests come in, so whenever anyone sends an email to this email address, it'll send it to all those users in your organization. And it'll send the email directly to their inbox, or they can also pop into their Google group and find the history of these emails. This is the final version of the squiggly lined one that I mentioned here. This is what it looks like. Hello, James Twain, and it'll give you the unique identifier, etc. Now, what's important in your process is that you will be receiving emails from all types of folks. And in order to help you prioritize what's the next action to do with an email before you even open it is by using labels. Labels are our equivalent of folders if you are familiar with Outlook, for example. Except we don't call them labels because we do more with them. We don't just use folders to sort things. We use labels to also be able to kind of label things to be able to take next steps onto something. So if you create a label within your Gmail called Open Record Request, you can then create a filter, and a filter helps you automate and automatically tag all emails that are subject Open Record Request and label it Open Record Request. So that when it comes into your inbox, you know that that's an Open Record Request, and you know that around 2 p.m., that's when you'll like kind of shift your workload to answering those things while ignoring that before 2 p.m. And the label, just as a quick reference, how the filter that you would create in order to get that label is the easiest way, and you can get instructions on the internet. There's great screenshots, but the easiest way to do it is from any email. You would just click this little drop down and say filter messages like this. and it just walks you through 2 pages. The first one is what do you want me to look for? Do you want me to look for an email, a subject line, a certain attachment, etc.? And once I say yes, I want you to do this subject. And then the next step, you say create filter with this search. And so the second pane will show you what do you want to do with it. So once I find emails that come into your inbox with this subject, what do you want me to do? And so you can apply the label open record request, and you can give it a different color too, so it's nice and colorful. The third piece in this whole process, right, as we're talking about being able to really help the user maximize their time and giving us exactly the data we need to find the information that they need, being able to ask questions about what failed or not during the mail merge process, just to kind of, and that's just the automation of, hey, thank you, we got your record request, we will get back to you, and here's your unique ID. And being able to respond directly from the Google group whenever you want, and being able to label any kind of email that comes through it already significantly reduces your amount of time of kind of like trying to figure out who and when to respond to. The last piece here is searching and reporting on these things, right? So searching, if you use Google Drive, which is your storage, your file share storage, there's great machine learning and OCR inside of it. So if you're working with another team or multiple folks or even another sister agency, and you're sharing a Drive folder and you kind of put a bunch of PDFs and images and things like that, it will index all of them and help you find very quickly inside of them. So what I did is I actually uploaded a bunch of different public government information into Google Drive, and I did a search. So if I look this up here, it'll actually look through inside of the document. And this is in the preview mode, but if I also want to see just the listing of it. Now, to get a little bit more granular, I would probably recommend using Cloud Search, which is also within the product. And Cloud Search, this is a quick way of looking at Cloud Search. Cloud Search will search through all the products, and this is probably the better way to show it. It will show you, if you do a search like I just did, and the search would be up here, you would search everything. You could search for that same term only in your email, only that term in your Google Drive, only that term in a website, in Google Groups, in calendars, etc. Now, if you actually find something that you would like to go in and visit in, let's say in your calendar, for example, this would actually also show you machine learning at its best, where it will not only show you the calendar invite and its guest all in one place, but it would also recommend what you need to prepare for that meeting or that, actually for that invite by looking at your inbox and such. So again, this is all assisted based on your activities, and it's all customized just to you as your user in your inbox. It's not shared with anyone else. And then as we get towards the end, I did want to call out another great tool called Awesome Table that's done by a partner. And this is a free tool, and they've created multiple different, let's see, Awesome Table. Let's just type it in here. They've created multiple tools for you to make any spreadsheet look amazing. So basically, if you have data stored in a spreadsheet like this, in a Google spreadsheet, that could be the names of people and you want to create a people directory, or maybe you also want to create a different type of training registration page, or maybe you want to be able to have little cards that when you click them, they'll take you somewhere to another page or a description. So there's all these types of things that you can do, and they don't require coding. They have all the instructions and all the screenshots. So it's really helpful, and you can have these really beautiful interfaces embedded in a Google site. So this is an example of how you can actually use File Cabinet, which is this one here. And you can just basically grab once you add this File Cabinet into your Google spreadsheet as an add-on, you would do that here. You can basically just give the URL, the hyperlink of a Google Drive folder, and it will organize the folders files and publish them on your site. What's nice about this is that they don't have access to any of your information. This is just a quick wrapper over your sheet, but your sheet is what locks down the access to it. So the share button is what allows you to say who can actually see the data in here. And so if you actually share this with somebody who's not supposed to have access to these folders or files, they won't be able to see it, even though even if you made the website public in any way, if the actual elements are not shareable to the public, no one can actually see them. And then the last step here is reporting. So we've collected, we've automated, we've found insights, we've followed up, we've streamlined this whole process with all these different tools. And the last tool I wanted to recommend is Data Studio, and this is part of the Google Cloud Platform. And this is free. This is typically a great replacement for Tableau licenses. And I'll just walk you through a couple of steps how to make this happen. But basically, Data Studio, instead of giving people the actual spreadsheet or the source of data, you just give them this dashboard and they can play around with the dashboard, and that's it. It has multiple connectors. You can connect it to AdWords, to YouTube, to Google Spreadsheets. And so in this case, we actually want to connect it to Google Spreadsheet, which is within G Suite. Or you can also do this with your own personal spreadsheet with your consumer sheets within your consumer Google Drive, because that will work the same with Data Studio. And the first step is it'll notice what are the things that are owned by you and which are the sheets within the form that you want to select. It will review what are the columns in that sheet and automatically, organize it. Oh, these are all text fields and date, and if you want to overwrite it, you can. And when you're satisfied with that, you just click Add Report, and you can, within your report, you can have multiple sources. You can have different types of spreadsheets or even different data sources, because we also have BigQuery, which is a great database tool to share tons and tons of data. And there's a very large free tier. It's great for sharing either public data sets with certain agencies or just making it public to the world. And you can create filters, very simple filters, if you wanted the sum of the record requests, the sum of certain status, etc. And once you click Publish, once you select your data source, then you get to really kind of like this paintbrush type of, scenario where this is a canvas that you select. Let me show you a quick live example. And if I were to go into edit mode, this is just a canvas where you drag and drop any of these elements and you select the data source. So there's only two columns here, the data source. So this selects, if you want multiple data sources, you would do blend data. You would say what the dimension is, what the metric is, and then you would add filters. And these are all your available fields. And then your style is just how beautiful do you want it? What colors do you want? What lines do you like? And then this header over here kind of mimics this. That's to change this widget into any of the other ones. Maybe you changed your mind and you'd rather have a bar chart rather than a pie chart. And then you can have these filters. You can select date range, etc. So once I actually click the view, I can share this report as a hyperlink here and send it out in an email, on a website, etc., or on a Google site, as I mentioned here. This is a Google site, and you have the chart embedded, and you can actually change the ranges here. All right. So this is the end of the demo. Hope this was useful for you. Have a good day.